Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of Evening Crypto here with your boy, the Real Shot 256. And we are very, very excited about today's episode, bringing you another week worth of cryptocurrency markets, movements, news, all the good stuff. Let's get right into it. Today, we want to talk about, or tonight actually, we want to talk about some of the things that have been going on around the crypto sphere, including a little bit about traditional markets. We did see another move in traditional markets to the downside. I mean, a considerable move, definitely something that caught a lot of people's eyes, and it has raised a lot of speculation as far as what is going on, and there is a negative correlation between the price of Bitcoin and the traditional markets at the current moment, where one is, one's dipping, the other one's going up, right? So it's got a lot of people speculating about what sort of event is going on that is causing this to happen. Some people are blaming China, saying that China is actually hedging in Bitcoin. Some people are saying, it's just a traditional markets having a dip, and then people, mostly American and U.S. Investors hedging over to Bitcoin as well. I mean, just a lot of speculation to really. We can dive in a little bit. Not going to go too deep down the rabbit hole on that one. Just again, this channel is primarily to really digest what's going on in the crypto sphere. So we'll get into some TA. We'll talk about Link a little bit more. We'll talk about Litecoin having its halvening today. And then we'll also take a look again, at how this China trade war is, affecting the U.S. markets. And as some say, some of that money is moving into Bitcoin. So currently we're at $307 billion for the overall total market cap, which is a pretty good uptick from over the weekend, where we did see Bitcoin under the $300 billion market cap, or I should say cryptocurrency markets were under 300 billion market cap. Now we're up and above 300 billion, 307. 24-hour trading volume has gone up to about 68, and not surprisingly, Bitcoin dominance is up at 67.8. And again, I mean, we continue to see this trend on the up and up, and I do think that we're going to continue to see this, especially seeing the price action as of late. Bitcoin at one point was at about 9% move over the weekend. It's now showing at about 3.2%, but the altcoins is just not keeping up. I mean, there's about one or two cases where a couple altcoins have actually tried to keep up, but not quite. I mean, if there is a chart floating around there in crypto Twitter that I took a look at, it's on Twitter. I'll try to find it and put it down below if I find it for you guys. But there is a chart going out that pretty much graphically explains that Bitcoin is pretty much outdoing every other altcoin out there, every other coin except for Litecoin. Litecoin is actually up about 1% in total gains for the year, and this is after Bitcoin's run about 9% run. And also Litecoin did have a dip over the weekend, and actually leading up to the weekend, and so that kind of narrowed the gap between Litecoin and Bitcoin. So at the current moment, Litecoin is still up over Bitcoin for about 1.5% or something close to that, and then the rest of the altcoins are actually down about anywhere between 30% to 70% below Bitcoin's below Bitcoin's performance so far this year, right, for 2019. So let's be clear. 2019 up until this point, Bitcoin is outperforming every other altcoin by about margin between 30 and 70%. So this is serious talk, guys. These altcoins are getting hit really, really hard, and they're just not keeping up with Bitcoin, and they are getting squeezed. So this is something that is going to continue. A lot of traders are in agreement with that. I'm no different than that. A lot of analysts are saying the same thing. So just be careful out there with where you put your money in. Chainlink has been one of the ones that has been, not because I own a little bit of it, and you guys know I've been pretty transparent with you guys. I have been trading in and out of it, and so it's definitely one of those coins that has been able to somewhat keep up with Bitcoin. It is down in relation to Bitcoin. We have to say that, But it's not doing so bad. So far, it's actually been on par with Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Chainlink, as the top gainers this year. So pretty safe bet on those. Everything else, just be real careful out there. Always do your own due diligence and do your own research. So let's get right into the charts. Really proud about bringing you guys this segment of the video with Bitcoin, because we've actually been calling. This is actually Chainlink, so let's switch over to Bitcoin here. Really proud about what we've been talking about for the last couple of months, where we see this formation here. I'll bring up my drawing tools here in just a second, but really proud of this. We've been sticking to our chart, and we were very convinced from the get-go that this was a descending channel or a descending wedge, forming a bull flag. And some guys came up and criticized my TA and said, hey, this is you're wrong, this is a bear flag, this is something else, whatever the case may be. But we see it playing out here. There is nothing better than this sort of confirmation here, where we do see here this I kept telling you guys, we're in a bull flag. This is the macro, more of the macro trend here, and really showing us where where Bitcoin wants to go if this plays out. And I mean, it certainly had all the characteristics, all the shape, the forms, the patterns, all the pivots. I mean, it just had just quite a textbook signature about the formation. So we were pretty convinced, although some people were calling for something else, like I said, a bear flag and some other things. But then within this trend here, we also have a separate formation here. Some will say that this is a Adam and Eve, or even a cup and handle kind of sort of here. We although I would say that we prematurely escaped out of it and just made a nice run to the upside, of course. But all of these macro trends, the bigger picture here and then the smaller picture here, everything was bullish about it, right? Usually this Adam and Eve formation does turn out to be a bullish move. And so in fact, we have another line of resistance right here that I want to paint for you guys, because it will be important to note right there. So yeah, I mean, the macro trend was saying, the more macro trend was saying, definitely this is a bull flag, will break out eventually. And then the Adam and Eve also as well, pointing to a breakout as well. So and this is the chart. If you guys go back a couple of videos, 3 videos, maybe 4 videos, you'll see that this is what we've been talking about. This is kind of how we've been putting our entries and exits all the way through for the last couple of months, since since this started to develop, right? This pivot high, pivot low, pivot high back over here. You could see that it was starting to form this channel. So we stuck to that, and pretty proud to say that we're one of the few that actually got this right. And everybody else was calling for something else, whatever might have been. So let's actually zoom in on this one here just a tad bit, so we can kind of measure what we're talking about here. In fact, here's the measured move, and technical analysis guys, take advantage of it, because sometimes it is pretty accurate. We'll measure this Adam and Eve formation here from this pivot high. Where did we go? Oh, that's not what I was looking for. No, that's not what I was looking for. Let's see. There we go. That one's back. Now I want this one here to go away. There we go. That's what we want. All right. So here's a measured move, and again, you guys, this is why we use these tools, because they work. I mean, look at the bottom of this Adam and Eve, right at this resistance line, right? So signature move, and then once it broke out of here, where is that lining up? It's going to line up with this line of resistance up here. Perfect, right? So if you say you want to go with let's just move this over a bit so we can see a little better. And where it broke out, right? So if just say, let's go with the Adam and Eve formation here, and if we go with that, you can see that the measured move ends or tops out right here at 12,439. Right, that's, I mean, roughly, right? I bet you can round it up to 12,440, 12,450, right? If you go with the Adam and Eve, and this is what we're gonna end up getting, then this is it right here. This is your this is where the end of the run is, and then from there, once we hit it, we'll have to reassess and see from there. I mean, I do expect some pullbacks from here, some healthy pullbacks, along the way before we get there. That's perfectly normal to have that. But this is definitely a point of resistance, and right here at the end of the move. And then the other scenario is, we'll leave that here for future reference here. So we'll be able to measure which one it was actually the one that played out. Sometimes you have to play several scenarios, not just one. I mean, but in this case, we've been sticking to our guns, and it actually played out. This move, it is, if indeed we get the full pullback, or not pullback, I'm sorry, the full breakout move on Bitcoin based on this pattern here, this bull flag, then we're going to end up somewhere around 15,300, right? Somewhere between 12,250 and 12,350, maybe 12,400, right? That's kind of where we're going to end the run here. And for you guys that are following me on my Twitter account, I did post a similar chart, and I did post a target here for this particular play. If it ends up being that we're actually playing out, acting out this scenario here, then the measure move will be 15.3 roughly, right? 15,300. That's going to be the end of that move, and at that point, we'll reassess. We'll have to take a look at, see what the chart is telling us. I mean, again, pullbacks are always going to be, we might come back and retest the prior high at 14,000 before we go on to bigger, broader moves. But as of right now, it could be one of these two scenarios. It could be either one of these two. I can't really point my finger on it as of right now. We'll have to wait a little bit longer to see where we actually end up, which one of these two will actually end up playing out. But either way, they're both bullish scenarios. They're both great for anyone that's trading these markets right now. If you're just hodling, that's always good. I had somebody come up to me and tell me they bought it at 13,000. They were kind of freaking out. I was like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. Don't even sweat it. Bitcoin's going to go back to 13,000 and beyond. So don't worry too much about that. It certainly looks like that's going to be the case, right? This move here, if we do play out on this move, don't expect that to be overnight. Although as of late, Bitcoin has just been very reactive, very quick to make these moves. So I'm not here to promise anybody anything. I'm not here to tell the future, or I don't have a crystal ball or anything like that. This channel is not about that. But we can definitely say that if this is the move that is being acted upon, then we can say that this is going to be the end of that move. We'll reassess from there. But yeah, that's what we have to look forward to. Again, don't expect this move overnight. This might take weeks or months, right? But in any of these scenarios, if we do, this is a pivotal thing right here. I do think that if sooner rather than later, I'm talking before the end of the month, if we get to this here and close a daily candle at least, maybe a 2 or 3 day candle here above the $13,000 range, then I do think the $20,000 prior to $20,000 from 2017 high, I do think that is more likely before the end of this year, right? So there's this. If we can get above this and start closing some significant candles, and I'm talking daily candles over here, not just 4 hour or lower time frames. If we can get close at like 2 days, 3 days worth of price action above this, sometime soon, without having major retracement down below the 200, say 200 is coming in right around 10,300. If we do go below that, then I start to think otherwise. But as of right now, it looks like Bitcoin is definitely inching in on the 12,465. We'll have to reassess from there. Expect a pullback maybe within this channel, and then another test of this prior pivot high over here at 13,000. And again, quite possibly we might even get a a retest of the 20,000 from back in 2017. Let's actually zoom in a bit. We're going to change over to Bitstamps so we can get a better move on this. So on the monthly, right? The monthly still looking pretty flat up here. I want to talk about the RSI. This is something, again, I've been telling you guys about for the last few videos. This is one of the biggest reasons why we should be very, very bullish on what's going on currently in the price of Bitcoin. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your mom, tell your neighbors. This is probably the best time to get into it. I mean, we are going to have some pullbacks, but definitely this is one of the best times to be in Bitcoin, right? I mean, we did get above, back in 2015, end of 2015, around November of 2015, we got above this 21 EMA on the RSI. We broke above it with plenty of volume. Look at that move leading up to it, right? This is what propelled us to actually get above the 21 and into the carried the momentum into the bullish control zone, and we never looked back for about 3 years, right? This was a 3-year long bull market. We set up multiple higher highs and higher highs all the way through, higher lows, and then it ended back in 2018, right? So now look, 2015, 2019, so it's 4 years later. It took 4 years for Bitcoin to do this again, right? It took almost 4 years for Bitcoin to do this, and now we're above the 21 on the RSI. It is looking pretty flat right now, but if this sort of price action does continue, again, we're going to see Bitcoin's RSI, stochastic RSI here, slip into the bullish control zone, and then that's when we're really going to take off and see the prior ultimate high at 20,000, and then get past that, right? So this is the ultra bullish indicator here. As long as we don't go back and retest, the 55 way down here, which I mean, just to the tone vase of the world out there, this is what they're looking for. And if this is something that actually ends up playing out, which to be clear, I don't think that's going to happen, at least not anytime soon. So again, if we were to retest the 55 here about 4,600, then I changed my mind on things. But look at the separation in between. I mean, we just have too many indicators on the bullish side as of right now. That could turn around at any moment. It is the cryptocurrency markets, but let's just go with the flow right now. Again, the trend is on your side. The trend is bullish. The trend is your friend till it's not, right? Till it turns around and we have convincing and material evidence that the end has ended and we are in a different trend. But until then, we remain bullish. Let's take a look at the weekly here. We just got a new close of the weekly yesterday evening, and we did get past this prior high here on the weekly, right? We're currently above it, right? We closed it. I'm sorry, we closed this last weekly right in the middle of this past high here, and then we have continuation. If we again, this is another indicator. We're currently above this prior, closing of this high body of the candle. So we're currently above. If we can again close above this prior candle on the weekly, then again that should give us more fuel to this fire, so we can come up and retest some higher, some higher highs, some higher areas of price action. And we can start to look upwards again. Let's take a look at the daily real quick. Daily RSI is looking pretty strong in the bullish control zone, although it is looking like it wants to tick down, which again, you guys, this is perfectly normal. If we do have a retracement, which I do expect to have, hopefully sometime soon, so we can again load up some more and watch this thing fly after that. So daily is looking also pretty good. Again, we opened up this, and we opened up this new daily candle, and we have started a correction, in my opinion, just a tad bit. But look at the separation. I mean, there's so much separation between it. It's hard for me to believe at this point that we're going to go back and retest 10,600, which is the very first EMA coming in right here that will act as support, which is our 100 simple, and then the 21 to 30 are coming in convergence there. So there's going to be plenty of support if, in case we do get to retrace quite a bit to about 10,600. But that move to me seems very unlikely. You might hear otherwise, but to me that seems very, very unlikely. Again, with everything that's been going on, I don't see that happening. But again, I mean, RSI is looking like it wants to cross over to the downside. We would have to retest the bottom of the bullish control zone here before we actually dip into the neutral zone and start making bigger moves to the downside. And then in that case, if we do get back into to retest the 21 here within the 21 EMA here in the RSI, then I do think this move starts to become more and more possible. Still remain very, very bullish on this. This would be a very, very healthy correction still. Not looking to get bearish on it at that moment again. So still looking pretty darn good. This is Bitstamp. Let's go back to our Coinbase, and this might be a little overkill, but this actually does help me. For those of you who may be newer in the space, this does help me kind of map out where some areas of resistance and support are going to be on this, whether we're going up or we're going down. So this is something that I struggled with in the beginning, where I didn't know where to get in and when to get out. It's like, how do people figure this out? How do people know when to get in, when to get out? Well, I do draw these horizontal lines because they do help me figure out where we're going to find some support. And a lot of times, and I'm gonna maybe step out on a limb here and say that majority of the times these things line up almost perfectly. I mean, you measure some of these moves, you draw them on the chart, and voila. I mean, they show you they're pretty dead on, they're pretty dead accurate. So if you're newer to trading and you're newer to the channel, I do this sort of thing. I always try to give you guys some tips as to some where you might want to go in, where you might want to go out, right? And then we can also use. So I use this. Which helps me quite a bit. I mean, it's really, really helpful to use these trend lines. And then let's go from this swing high, and I'm going to use the wicks on these to swing low, right? And then look at that. I mean, some of these lines are just lining up perfectly, right? I mean, the 786 up here with the 13,000 prior high, prior pivot high here based on this price. This moving here back in July 10th, and then we have the 618 lining up perfectly to this area of resistance here, and then we have the 518, which it looks like Bitcoin is going back to retest pretty soon here. The 0.5 right around here, coming in at about 11,456. I actually do have a buy order at the 0.5 here at about 11.5. I'm going to front run it a little bit just in case it doesn't get to it. So I do have a position there to pick up some more Bitcoin, and then I'm going to scale my way in. If it triggers, then we could potentially come back and retest the 382 here at 0.32. And then it also lines up with this area of support as well, right? So use these things, use these tools. They're always helpful. And again, these are expected moves based on something, right? Based on technical analysis, based on something that's been proven to over and over time work for a lot of people. And again, these tools are available for you. Just go to tradingview.com and start plugging them in. If you need any more help, as to how to go about using these tools, definitely hit me up. Comment down below. Go on Twitter, DM me there. Go on Instagram. You guys can DM me there as well. I'm always available. And to be clear, again, this is not a channel that has acts like we have a crystal ball or we're a signals type of channel. We're really more about education, spreading knowledge, and sharing the wealth, right? So that's kind of what we want to do here. That's the proposition of this channel. And hope you guys are enjoying it. Hope you guys are liking the content. And if you do, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get these video notifications whenever we do put out new content, and you can stay updated as to what's going on in these crypto markets. So getting back to the charts, that is the daily. Let's look at the lower time frames. The 4 hour looking pretty darn bullish. Again, look at the 4 hour, right? I mean, it's lining up with the 30 simple right here. acting as support. Definitely, having having this as support. It's, this sort of thing is textbook type of, type of drawings here. Again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but just trying to get the message out to you guys that, hey, this stuff works. This, you should be using this stuff. Because again, I can relate for all those people who are just maybe newer or still need to figure some things out. This is the kind of stuff that really helped me figure it out, to make sure that I was, a lot of you have said, I'm getting this, I'm getting wrecked. Excuse me. I'm not making any money. I'm losing money in this market. I seem to miss all the runs, and I seem to sell too quick. And basically boils down to, you're not selling on resistance. You're buying on resistance and selling on support. So if you turn that around, do a 180 on that, you're going to be much more successful. You're going to do 180 on your trading results. You buy the support areas and then sell the resistance areas, right? And that's what I've been trying to share with you guys on this channel. So, I mean, again, if we do have a retracement like the 30 simple here, this, again, around, I do have a position right around this area here where there is an expected pullback to this area. It's having a little bit of trouble coming back down into it and retesting it. But, this move is just getting started on the 4 hours. So, and again, there's nothing bearish about that. So these are some other areas of support here. The 21 is definitely one that's going to serve as always as a huge support at 11,137. And then we have this area here almost lining up with the 100 simple there at 10,950. Okay, so these are all good ideas for you guys to start scaling back in. If you sold, even if you sold here, right above the 30 simple, there's still room for you for this correction to run, and we're still within a healthy pullback zone, and you can expect bounces, like it did bounce here. You can expect the bounce from the 21, expect the bounce right in between the 21 and the 100 simple. I mean, there's several areas where you can expect bounces, and again, you buy that bounce and then sell the resistance, prior resistance, and use these prior pivot points. These are always very useful when it comes to mapping out your areas of support and resistance, right? Again, if you have any questions or you guys need any more help with this, definitely let me know. I'll be more than happy to do it. No charge, you guys. I don't have, like, again, I don't have a signals group. I don't have any of that stuff. I just do this for free. I do it because I wish I would have had somebody that could have saved me a lot of the grief in learning how to trade. So again, this is free information for you guys. I would love to chat with you guys if you have any questions on the things that I'm doing. Let's get over to the link here real quick. And I told you guys, I'll try to be as transparent as possible with you guys on every video. I did tell you I've been in and out of Link for the past month and a half or so, when Link started to have a nice retrace, and found that there was some good entry points. So I started loading up on Link, and ever since I've been buying and selling Link in and out, and for the most part these trades have worked out. I mean, I would say I'm above even on this, because we did have a sudden pullback where I was unfortunately not paying attention, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, I am up on Chainlink slightly, and just happy to see these moves. And I did tell you guys on one of my last videos prior to this move, as Link was starting to make this move here, I did map out some areas of resistance, and it actually hit it right. It hit right at 270. I told you guys on my last video. I think it was the last video, the one before that. You guys can go back and fact check me if you want. But that, I told you guys the run went in at 2.70, and look at that. I mean, it actually did. It actually did. So again, if you guys want to use this information as signals or pointers and tips as to when to get in, when to get out, again, I don't want to toot my horn, but these things do work, and this is what I'm basing my trades on. And again, I did sell a little prematurely, because I didn't know if it was going to hit it. I'm always trying to be very careful. Sometimes a little too careful. I did exit prior to this 270, so I didn't get the full on move. But if you guys are a little more risk I'm actually risk adverse, but if you guys aren't, and you guys can take a little more risk, then you can actually wait for these moves to actually plan out all the way through, and wait for confirmation or reversal. Um, so there's that. Chainlink, I do think, prior to, earlier today, I was thinking that Chainlink does have a little bit more room to go on the downwards. I do think we should see 244. I don't know if we've seen it today so far, but I do think we should see 244 and a half today. I do think that it should touch it. It hasn't. I mean, it kind of looks like it did, but to me, Chainlink does look like it has a little bit more to go downwards before we start to have an actual bounce. Right here, look, especially because of this candle right now, there's a lot of selling pressure up here, and we do see that Chainlink actually struggling to get back above the 21. That is what is making me think that we do have more room to the downside, along with the RSI being underneath the 21 and into the lower end of the neutral zone in the RSI. So again, I am thinking that this correction does have a little bit more room, as long as we don't break this prior low pivot point here. Actually, let's put up another area of support there, and we're going to paint this in green so you guys can follow the code here. This will be an area of support, and this is also area of support right there, coming along with the 200, right? And again, these things line up a lot of the times. Let's actually bring up Fibonacci tool again and use it from prior high to pivot low. Let's use the wicks on the 4 hour. I'm thinking I probably shouldn't, but let's see how this works out. So yeah, I mean, look at that, lining up with the 618, and then you've got another area of support down here at the 0.5, lining up with the 200 simple here. Again, so there's several reasons. There's always going to be some areas of convergence when it comes to support and resistance. Let's see, this area of resistance should be coming up right in here. Lines up with this candle. This closing and opening of these two candles here lines up perfectly right there. So this is going to act as resistance here, going upwards. These are always good areas of information for us to have when we're trading. So 30 simple acting as resistance, and definitely pushing the price back down. We didn't even get to retest the 786 there. So hopefully you guys are getting the point here. Hopefully, for those of you who are newer to this, are getting some of this, getting some of this information and finding it useful. But again, I am a little bit bearish on the shorter time frames on Chainlink. If we do break the 200, I do think we're going to bounce right here at around between here's the 200 EMA and the 89 EMA as well coming in. Actually, that is our 100 simple and the 200 EMA coming in convergence right here at 240, so that was 40 cents. And then we do also have this prior area of support here at 241. So there's going to be plenty of support right around here. So I would like to see it preferably and this is just my opinion because I'm greedy and I just want to buy in some more at these lower prices. But as long as we don't break this prior low here, this pivot low right here, then we're going to be fine. We're going to find that we're going to have a nice bounce off of this area. So that's the expected move for you guys. Let's go down into the 2 hour. See what the 2 hour is looking like. Yeah, I mean, definitely looking like it does want to come back and retest the 55 on the 2 hour at what is this, 244 and a half, somewhere around there. That's also a good point to get to start loading up on some more link. And then we have the 200 here and the 89 EMA coming in here, almost together here, right? Almost together here. So those are some good areas for you guys to load back up on some Chainlink, and eventually we'll get to because I do think overall, again, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, so I definitely have to be bullish on Link, that we do come back and retest these prior highs over here, back here, right? So that's what we got on Chainlink. Again, if you want me to go a little deeper on any of these coins, let me know. RSI also, again, pointing very, very much into the bearish control zone here down here in the RSI. We did pierce through that 21 like it wasn't even there, and now we're in the more bearish zone. So again, that's kind of the expected what you can expect in the lower or shorter time frames. Okay, that's not the macro trend. That's more the micro trend. Okay, let's look at Litecoin. Litecoin did have its halvening. It did look like maybe it wanted to make a move in celebration of the halvening event. But as Charlie Lee did say, and I've been telling you guys for quite a while now, that the price was already priced into Litecoin way back here before the halvening, right? Actually, we reached the top of the halvening speculation all the way back here, right here. That was the top on June 22nd. So a couple of months ago, almost a couple of months ago, we and about a month ago, as we, roughly somewhere in maybe middle of June is when Charlie Lee came out and said this, and look, and had an expected reaction, right? Hearing it from the horse's mouth. He did call the top back in 2017, sold his Litecoin, and when Litecoin was about $360 or something crazy like that. He called the top and it said, you know what, this is the absolute top. I am selling all my Litecoin. A lot of people saw that, as a selfish move, and just the Litecoin community was not happy about that. But it ended up playing to the best for him, for Charlie Lee, when he did sell. And then he lets us know, hey, the halvening price has actually already been priced in. We've already seen the top of it, and then the price just reacts to the bit of news that Charlie Lee giving us the truth about what we can expect on Litecoin going forward. Although it is sort of trying to partake in Bitcoin's party and rally here. It is trying to keep up, but it unfortunately it's for all the Litecoin followers. It certainly is having a nice reaction like Bitcoin. Let's actually put a move to this since back in August 3rd. That's a 17% move, almost 18% move. Nothing to shake a stick at. So it is definitely trying to stay and keep up with Bitcoin, but just having a lot of selling pressure right after that move. We did pierce through this area of resistance here, but we only wicked up, and that's the 2 hours. So we can definitely say that this is a bearish looking candle here with a lot of selling pressure. And we do see follow through as well. You can say it's a bearish engulfing candle here. You can make the argument for that, and then continuation of downwards pressure and back into sub 100 prices. I do think we should hold steady here. We do have the 200 simple coming in right here. If we do break this 200 simple, I'm not going to be too concerned yet, because we still haven't broken this prior low. If we do break this prior low here, then I start to change my mind, and I do think we could possibly test 8,700, which has been a key area of support since back here in July 14th. And we've tested it several times along the way, and it's just been acting as key resistance for Litecoin. We did break below it, and it did form sort of a inverse head and shoulders formation here that did actually play out. You can make the case for it, right? And it did actually play out, right? We did have a measured move playing out here. So you can say that happened. You can say that we did break through it. We retested this bottom area of support here, coming in the green line here from this macro formation, macro trend. And again, this could, in time, this could still play out to the upside, right? This is another formation that we painted for you guys on this channel several weeks ago, and this is kind of what we've been sticking to if we want to enter into any trades into Litecoin. I particularly am not. I did, and I made some gains out of Litecoin, and I got out. But then, for you guys, we're still within this macro trend, right? So, if we are to follow this and stay in the course, then we should come back and retest this prior high. But again, it's too early to tell. I'm not too sold on this actually happening anytime soon. But right now, it is respecting this area of support down here. It is looking like, it could bounce right out the 200 simple here and back over to this area primarily here with the 377, just above the 377. But these prior pivot points are coming around 99 to $100. It's always been a key point for Litecoin, $100. Whether we're above or below $100 is a major psychological barrier for algos and software trading. So that's what we got on Litecoin. Let's go back to the 4-hour. Look, 4-hour looks a little better, but again, I do think that we should come back then and retest the 200. It looks like we actually did. Actually, it looks like we did on the 4-hour. We tested the simple 200 right here, and at around 93 and 94. So yeah, I mean, this is looking more like it does want to bounce off of that area. Looks like it does. I mean, we could come back and retest it, and then come back and start retesting this prior pivot high. If we do break above it, we could see a breakout move, but immediately it's going to run into some resistance right around 104, $105. So if we do break above it, expect some nice resistance. We could possibly reject off of it on the first try. All right, so hopefully that works. The RSI also is letting us know on the 4-hour that it does have more room to the downside. Let's actually compare that with the 2-hour and see where it's at. Yeah, the 2-hour is definitely getting into that bearish control zone, which is dangerous. We could actually come back and retest this prior low over here. Actually, maybe right here we might find a little bit of resistance here at 92.65, and then retest $90. So, but RSI is looking pretty bearish. Don't know if you want to, it looks like it wants to bounce on a 4-hour. Does look like it. There's some buying pressure down here right in between the 200 and the 89 right there. So yeah, we could. I wouldn't be surprised if we did bounce off of this area. But again, the 4 hours also on the RSI did actually sneak below the 21 EMA here, and is actually going to retest the bottom of this bear control zone here before we actually make a move. So stay tuned for that one. If Bitcoin does decide to go on another continuation of the run, then we could potentially see the green go over the red here and actually go over the 21 as well, and and have another retest again of the 377, which is coming in confluence with this prior pivot at 102. Right, so that's what we got for that. Let's see what else we got. We can actually take a look at ETH. ETH is kind of doing almost the same thing. I'd say that ETH is looking a little stronger than Litecoin is looking at the current moment, bouncing on the 4-hour, bouncing off the 30 simple here, acting as support. And we did reject off the 200 here. So it is letting us know that there's plenty of downwards pressure on Ethereum right here at the 200 at 234, but then there's plenty of support here at the 30 simple at 227, 228. So we might find find ourselves within this channel here and just trade in between these two. This guy here, current price at 230, and the 200 EMA here. Right, so we could find that, especially if Bitcoin does decide to start consolidating around this area, which does look like it is. It actually looks like it's starting to consolidate in this area. This candle still looks like consolidation to me. And I told you guys to go back to Bitcoin. Let's see here. The volume signature still sort of suspect to me. Although it did improve from our video from Friday. We were doing this sort of thing as of Friday, and we did break slightly above it. I mean, it is a break, right? It is a confirmed break of this of the volume trend line here. We did break above it. We're staying. I mean, you can make the argument that we're kind of breaking down below it again, but this is something that we did want to see, and we got it right. We did break above that trend line within the volume, which again also leads us to confirm that this is a valid move on Bitcoin's part. That there's conviction, there's volume, there's reasons to be bullish on this on this particular move right here, right now. Let's actually get rid of this. Don't need it anymore. And let's do one last one. Let's do Cardano. Cardano. Yeah, it's looking pretty weak. Everything about it is looking pretty weak. We do have, yeah, this lines up well. Lower high, trying to have, kind of trying to have a bounce, but not really, and just rejecting and coming back down into the more bearish control zone. So, I mean, geez, not very confident at all with Cardano here, testing this pivot low here. Currently testing it. Does look like it wants to come back and retest this prior pivot low over here, around 5.5 cents. Actually, that's not 5.5. It's at 5.443. Yeah, it's currently at 5.5 cents, but it does look like it has some more room to the downside. If we break this area, then that's not going to be good. That's going to be really, really bad in my eyes. Coming back down to retest a 5 flat. We haven't seen these levels since, what's that, March, end of March, roughly, when we last see this move. Yeah, right around March. So yeah, definitely not looking too good. Just looking like it's, it just wants to keep retesting the lows. If you could short it, I would short it. If there was maybe there is, I don't know, but I don't think there's a short futures market for ADA Cardano. But if there were, I think I would be shorting it right here. Let's look at the lower time frames. 2 hour. Yeah, 2 hour just looking the same, actually looking like it's already past this. I mean, just barely past this prior low, which is, I'm not too concerned about it as of yet. This candle is turning green, so we could see a little bit of a bounce there, keeping it safe and within the expected move. All right, so not much to talk about there. Let's just take a look at the daily real quick, and then we'll move on to close the version of this tonight's evening crypto cast. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, I mean, having a retest of this prior low here on the daily, it's going to have to do a lot of work. Even with Bitcoin's run, I mean, it's doing the opposite, right? Which goes back to my earlier statement from the beginning of this video, how every alt is pretty much, down about 30 to 70%, within regards to Bitcoin. If you do chart, Bitcoin versus, or Cardano versus Bitcoin, or any altcoin, XYZ altcoin versus Bitcoin, you're going to find that it's down between 30 and 70%. So yeah, just, don't trade alts for the time being. There might be an altcoin summer coming later down the road, but just not now, guys. There's no point in wasting your money and watching your account diminish in value because you believe in the fundamentals. I believe in the fundamentals of ADA as well. Cardano, I think it's got a great team. Charles Hodgkinson is a great, one of the smartest men I've ever come across within the crypto sphere. That guy knows his stuff. Prior to IOHK, he was also working on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and just a guy who's just very, very solid, and a guy that you can rally behind. But the chart is just telling you, it's not a good time to be invested in Cardano and pretty much any altcoin for that matter, right? So I'd say be careful with your money, save it. Yeah, XRP looking pretty weak as well. I mean, can't get over the 21 there. Although RSI is looking pretty good, did have a nice bounce of the 21 here on the RSI, but there is no volume here, and this trend line here in the volume is just getting to the really bottom area here, and still our XRP cannot find any sort of volume here to help it turn this around at all. This is the daily chart, and it's just looking very, very sick to me. Not looking like it wants to, have a move. Even with Bitcoin's 8% move, 9% move here in the last couple of days, it's still, I mean, XRP just ignoring that completely. I mean, to be fair, it was at 33 and a quarter cents earlier, but it has scaled back down since. So I'll leave it at that. Again, if you are finding any of this useful, any of this to be beneficial to you, hit the like button, hit the bell notification button there, so you can stay abreast of these updates. And just very excited for this week. I do think, in recap, I do think we're going to see Bitcoin to have a healthy pullback. Whether it's a more severe one or not as severe, we could come back and retest 11.3, 11.4. I do think those are definitely in the picture. And again, just go back to these areas of support and resistance here. Those will help you map out some moves and actually plot some entry points on the way down, right? And remember not to put all your marbles in one move. If you do decide to scale back in, that's what it's called, scaling back in. Is you do it a little bit at a time, 10%, 15%, 20, 25%, at a time, because then you run out of money, you run out of cash very, very quickly if you don't scale back in. All right, so that is, I think, all that I have for you guys. Oh, I did also want to talk about, just briefly, I've been also telling you guys about this in this channel. I've been telling you that there's been something going on with gold and traditional markets, because gold has just been going up and up and up ever since around back here in June. I've been telling you guys there's something's going on with traditional markets, and savvy investors are aware of this, because we know it's no secret, gold is a hedge. A lot of people use it as a hedge when traditional markets start to dump, and we have seen that reflected in the price of gold. And voila, some things are coming to fruition, some negative things are coming to fruition within traditional markets. We do see the SPY having a big nasty dump today, something that is said to have given pretty much everything back since back in April here. Let's see, going back, yeah, I mean, pretty much since April. I mean, all the work that was put in since the first quarter or beginning of the second quarter has been now given back, and a lot of people seeing a big downturn in their portfolios, losing a little bit of money. If we do put a measure move on this, we'll see here, wick to wick, about 6.68% move from top to bottom. Pretty significant when you're talking about traditional markets, right? And we do have several things going on. We did have the Federal Reserve coming out and saying, hey, we're going to drop the interest rate by a quarter basis points, 0.25 basis points. And Mr. Trump not happy at all, expressing his disappointment with the Feds, and that had a negative effect. And then we couple that with the possibility of QE, quantitative easing, where the government gets to they get a free pass to print more money and devalue our dollar, debase our dollar. We lose purchasing power, and that also had an effect on the markets. And then we also, to top it off, we had Mr. Trump actually coming through with China tariffs and taxing anything coming in from China. So that was bad news. And then we had China counteract the move by them coming out today and devaluing the Chinese yuan. And that was a strategic move on China's behalf by the prime minister there, devaluing the yuan again, to again counteract the move on Mr. Trump. So what happens here is they devalue their currency, their purchasing power goes down. So now Chinese are not as likely to import American goods, because now it is their purchasing power just went down. And then on the flip side, you have Americans who bring in a lot of imports, and now because of the tariffs, there's two things to point out there. Because of the tariffs, now they're not able to make those big imports. But maybe they'll scale down, because if from what I read, these tariffs are affecting anything $300,000 and above. So now, because because of the counteract from China, now anything below $300,000 in Chinese goods can scathe right underneath the threshold of $300,000, and actually, Americans can still buy large portions of Chinese goods and not get taxed. So it's a very, very nifty move on behalf of China by, again, debasing their currency. So now Americans can buy more for less and still be able to get those orders through without being taxed. Very, very sly, very, very sneaky Chinese government, but very smart, right? So we do see it here reflected on the price of traditional markets. And again, this is a move that has been expected by very, very savvy, very educated traders that know what's going on and can see the writings in the wall and can start to proactively, make these moves into things like gold. Right. So there's always something good that we can learn. Hopefully they will stop hedging into gold so Peter Schiff can keep his mouth quiet. And then, hopefully we can see those people hedging into Bitcoin, right? Like there's a lot of speculation, as we said, from Asian investors coming in and hedging against Bitcoin. So that is all we got for real this time. I am out. Hopefully you got something out of the video. If you did, hit the like button, and hopefully you got something out of the video in exchange for your time. I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great night.